Hello and welcome to Advanced Manufacturing Now, the podcast for manufacturing professionals. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to get new episodes delivered to your inbox each week. I'm your host, Carrie Gitter, Associate Editor at SME Media. I'm joined today by Jay Jessen, who is the Director of Lawrence Technological University's Marburger STEM Center, right here in Southfield, Michigan, where SME is also located. Jay was recently honored with Education Technology Insights STEM Director of the Year 2025 award. So congrats on that, Jay. And so thank you so much for being here with us. Just to get started, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your background, prior to taking over this position at the STEM Center?
Absolutely. And first off, hi, Carrie. Thank you so much for having me here today. And thank you for that awesome recognition. It's such a pleasure to be here. Absolutely. So I've been working in higher education and education in general for almost 2 decades now. I have worked in roles like student services, admissions, financial aid, stuff like that, college advising. I've even been an adjunct college instructor, all of that before moving into kind of this K-12 STEM outreach world. For the last few years, I've been honored to serve as director here at Lawrence Technological University as director of the Marburger STEM Center. And it is just such an awesome pathway because my career has always been focused on creating opportunities for students. And this role specifically and our amazing team here at LTU allows me and allows us to do that at scale, which is pretty remarkable.
So, Jay, can you tell us a bit about LTU's Marburger STEM Center and what that institution is set up to do?
Absolutely. That's a fantastic question because a lot of people don't know that LTU has our own STEM center and specifically our own K-12 STEM center housed inside the institution. So what we are, the Marburger STEM Center is the hub of all K-12 outreach and engagement. And that's not just here in Metro Detroit, that's Michigan, that's the Great Lakes region. We're always trying to keep expanding that. Each year, we host nearly 5,000 students, teachers, parents, and we have all these amazing programs that we host them through, like our STEM Scholars Visits program, our high school summer programs, and then individually curated experiences like in our brand new community partner sponsored RPM studio. So that's racing, prototyping, and making, where we have these awesome state-of-the-art sim racing rigs and a whole curriculum that was brought together by motorsports engineers, actually. So that's all incredible. But what makes our program here at LTU and the Marburger STEM Center so special and so unique is actually that commitment from the university as a whole, right? We're very unique in that aspect. LTU leadership really supports us. It helps us shape this outward-facing identity, and that's how we can truly focus on developing future innovators for college and career readiness.
Wonderful. And what kind of team do you work with there at the STEM Center? I know you're the director, so who are you working with?
So we have a huge team as a whole. So the STEM Center itself is obviously myself. We have a program coordinator and summer programs manager. We couldn't do what we do without an amazing team of student assistants. They range from sometimes high school students who help out in summertime. They range from college students here at LTU. A lot of other faculty and staff assist us in a lot of our programming. We couldn't do anything without the support from current LTU faculty and staff, and then also our administration. We'll actually have LTU leadership come down, help out with programs. So the team itself is pretty large, even though on paper we may not seem as big as we are.
Great. And do you have a sense of like how many students you guys reach, in a given school year, for instance, and how far that extends?
Yeah, so we're really proud of that 5,000 touch point number. And so that is something that we have actually had 2 back-to-back years. So this past year, we're just about to start our new year, right? So we're going to start our new academic year now. But our engagement and our touch points were 2 back-to-back record-breaking years. So we're really excited about all of those touch points that we're making in the community, and specifically that reach as it continues to expand. Just a quick kind of like backup, because we talk about K-12, right? K-12 community education, but another term that you might hear me say, and I might reference, is P16. And what we refer to there is preschool all the way through college as well. So when we say that we're an outward-facing community organization, we are actually doing teacher professional developments. We're doing community-facing organizations where we work with the community to try to actually get parents or whomever else interested in the topic as well, because we know that that's at the heart of everything we do, is that community engagement.
Great. So I want to shift a bit to kind of STEM education itself and your educational philosophy. Having been in the field now for a bit, how would you describe your personal approach to STEM education or your guiding principles?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question. So I'm very lucky. I'm very grateful. I had a family that was extremely supportive when I was young. I was that kid that asked for chemistry sets and other things like that when I was a kid, and I wasn't asking for the latest video game system or stuff like that. And I was really happy, and I am so grateful to have that upbringing and that experience. And one thing that has really kind of melded together is that upbringing and kind of where my philosophy is, that, that curiosity, the exploration, and just kind of digging your hands in and actually tinkering, taking stuff apart, with our theory and practice motto here at LTU, and they just kind of meld perfectly together. STEM education, and there's so much out there, right? There's STEM organizations and STEM curriculum and standards. At the very root of it, STEM education just needs to be hands-on, inclusive, and it needs to be rooted in real-world application. Outside of that, a lot of the other stuff are just perks or benefits, right? But if it's hands-on, inclusive, and rooted in real-world application, that's how we get students to actively engage in our programming. So whether they're sitting in the new sim rigs, they're over in one of our science labs, they're coding a drone, right? They can actually see themselves in these STEM fields. And when we make that environment, right? So if we create an environment where students feel like they can fail or get frustrated, and they know they're not going to be penalized for frustration or failure, those moments are where we see some of the most meaningful learning happen. Challenges build resilience, right? Curiosity turns into confidence, but only when we make that environment safe and supportive to be that way. So like I said, kind of to loop it back, my upbringing, my philosophy, and our theory and practice motto here at LTU just kind of ended up being this perfect match. And that's where we've kind of gotten these last few years of these amazing touch points. And I really owe that to all of our amazing team here at LTU.
So it sounds like it's really about creating a safe and encouraging environment for experimentation and letting students really kind of get their hands dirty and experience things, try stuff, fail, learn, but creating that environment, that healthy, productive environment for all that to happen.
Yeah, that's right. It's really interesting. And I always love when we have faculty, staff, administrators, community partners. I love when they come in and they watch a program, because inevitably there's going to be students who maybe come to a program, right? And this actually just happened. We had a student come to one of our STEM Scholars visits, and she was getting off the bus and she pulled one of our team aside and was like, I don't really know why I'm here. This isn't for me. I don't really want to do this. And naturally we were like, that's no problem. We're going to have a great day. So we started to take down some of those barriers and some of those concerns, right from the beginning. As soon as she sat down in the sim racing rig, it was like you could just see there was like visible excitement. She was like white knuckling that steering wheel and racing around, and naturally everyone hits a few walls or takes the corners bad. It's a pretty realistic simulator, so it's funny because they're allowed to fail, they're allowed to get frustrated. It's a safe environment to do that. Maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes in, I don't know exactly, but shortly after we were, in the program, then the questions started happening. Well, why does the car handle turns better X versus Y? Why does friction matter? Why does the tire temperature matter? How does the data logger work, which we have them program and do? And so by the end, this one student who in the beginning told us, this isn't for me, I don't want to do this, was smiling, asking like, how could I do this in the future? What are some of my career pathways that could get me into this? And as I had mentioned in the beginning, this program is actually through an awesome partnership with actual real world motorsports engineers. So we have an amazing network of colleagues in the actual industry as well. So it's not just about the programs or the equipment. It's moments like that where it's the I don't want to do this turn into I can do this, I want to do that. And that's where it takes a community to do this. Faculty, staff, leadership, our community partners, we couldn't do this without them. And all of that whole community makes these moments possible.
Yeah, that's a really incredible example of, a student going from one place to a place of real engagement and interest and excitement in such a short span. So that's really great to hear. As you've been running the STEM Center, are there any, particular challenges you've run into, or on the flip side, like achievements, accomplishments that you're proudest of in your tenure there?
Absolutely. I think most people who are in any form of educational outreach, I think a lot of us would agree that our biggest challenge is always going to be transportation. We live here in Motor City, right? But transportation is a huge barrier for a lot of community engagement and educational programming. Transportation, resources, and equity surrounding it, right? All of those things create barriers for schools and families. And so that is where it really is, thanks to our amazing community partners and obviously LTU and our leadership here, we've been able to remove a lot of those barriers because of that sort of external funding and things like that. So, and then to the other part of your question, achievements, yeah, absolutely. I really I'm gonna hit on that, like almost 5,000 touch points. We're really proud of that. That is teachers, parents, students, community members, and it's not the number itself. And so, I can get really wrapped up in the 5,000 because it sounds really awesome. But when you step back, it's not the number, it's all of the opportunities behind that number. Every single student who walked in, like that other student who was like, this isn't for me, but then saw a pathway, right? That's where that challenge and the achievements kind of become like both things to celebrate, because we know that there's ways to get through it, and we know there's really awesome opportunities that have come out from all of that work.
So, yeah, breaking down those barriers of access must be such a game changer, right? That's what allows you to really to reach these students and make this change happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't realize that when I was still in kind of the student services world, right? I worked on a very different kind of picture. I will say that I assumed that I knew that these were going to be barriers and challenges, but I didn't fully appreciate and understand until I got into this K-12 outreach world. And that's the one thing that I can truly say, if you're ever in an opportunity to support your local STEM outreach or anything like that, honestly, removing barriers, especially things like transportation, that's huge for any organization that's doing this kind of work.
Right, because they have to be there to experience it. That's the most foundational thing, right? So, but it's not something that people would necessarily think about. So it's great that you point that out. So, based on your experience, and all the work you've done thus far, is there any advice that you would have for fellow STEM educators? I know you talked a bit about your philosophy and your approach, but what would you tell a younger version of you or somebody else coming up, entering the field?
This is one of my favorite questions because this is something that I really hope that a lot of people who work in this world can kind of resonate with. A lot of amazing organizations and entities do STEM outreach and engagement, right? But a lot of times that happens kind of in a vacuum. There's a lot of work being done and it's great work. And my biggest piece of advice to both previous me and, anyone who might be in a role similar or, even something to keep in mind for the future and something we care very deeply about our team here that we keep in mind is the learning has to be kept real. It has to be collaborative. That is how we are able to connect STEM with students is when it's that hands-on and it's relevant to their day-to-day life, right? Being able to take something that might seem obscure or complicated or, scary, right? If we're able to keep the learning real and collaborative and we can make sure it is hands-on for the students so they're able to sit down and work on it and it has some sort of direct application to their life. It might be a challenge that they know, it's a problem, something they're excited about, right? That collaboration with all of our institutions, organizations, with partners, with the community, right? That's where the real magic happens because this is like a very deep-rooted philosophy. No one builds up future innovators completely alone. It really is a community.
Yeah, that's a really important point. Absolutely. So here at SME, we talk a lot about workforce development, the skilled worker shortage. Obviously a lot of our manufacturing member community are dealing with that. And so developing this pipeline and these career pathways is super important for the industry as a whole. From your vantage point, kind of in the thick of K-12, how do you see the future of STEM education? I know that's a big picture question, but are you optimistic? Do you see opportunities being taken advantage of? Do you see growth in other organizations doing stuff similar to yours?
Absolutely. And I think it is very optimistic. We see the future as way more digital, way more collaborative, and way more community driven. Every time we kind of take a look of where it's going to be 2 years, 5 years, etc. down the road, tools like AI and even like our simulation education, they're opening up incredible learning opportunities for students, right? That's where LTU and the STEM Center are really stepping up. We're able to help expand opportunities that students might not otherwise have without them, like the AI and the simulation, right? I believe the future is really bright. We're committed to preparing students, not just for the jobs, and that's a very much an LTU kind of credo of ours. It's very important for us. We are preparing students not just for the jobs of today, but we are preparing them for the ones of the future. I think everyone should be doing that, and I hope we are doing that, and that's why I say that I do think it's optimistic, and I do think the future is bright.
Well, that's a really positive, upbeat, and hopeful note to end on, unless there's anything else that you want to add, Jay, that I haven't asked you or that we haven't touched on.
I think a simple kind of summation for me is obviously, again, thank you for the recognition of the award. Obviously, that was really cool. I'm very humbled to receive that recognition, but I want to make sure that I also, from very deep in my heart, it truly reflects LTU and our whole STEM Center team commitment to what we call that developing future innovators for college and career readiness.
Great. Yeah. Well, that sense of community and humility is really admirable. So thank you for ending on that note. And we're really grateful to you for taking the time to talk with us today. Sounds like what you guys are doing at the STEM Center is really inspiring and impactful, and it definitely ties in with, SME, with our own efforts and interests in education and workforce development and outreach. So it was terrific to talk to you. And if people want to learn more about the Marburger STEM Center, where should they go to get more information?
Thanks, Carrie. Yeah, one thing that I truly want to make sure people also know, it's one of our big community engagement entities here, a big outward-facing one, is that high school summer camp program, right? And I know it's only September right now, but we are actually very much in the thick of getting prepared for next year. And so our summer 2026 offerings will actually go live on the LTU Marburger STEM Center website later this fall. So our main web address is just ltu.edu/Marburger, MARBURGER STEM, STEM center, CENTER. And from there, you'll be able to see all of our different program offerings. You'll be able to link to our summer programs. And that's one of our most amazing programs that we have people come from all over the world to experience. We had over 700 K-12 people on campus this past summer.
Wow. Well, that's great. And I hope our listeners will look into that and increase their awareness. Thank you again, Jay. Thank you for being here with us, and congrats again on the STEM Director of the Year Award. It's a major accomplishment. It's been very well deserved. And for our listeners, to keep up with the latest manufacturing trends and hear more podcasts, you can subscribe to our podcast feed, and of course, visit us at advancedmanufacturing.org. Thank you for listening.